What's up, Witty? You tuned in to another episode of Everything Boxing. I don't watch reality TV. I watch boxing. There you go, talking that boxing again. And you already know how I do. When you step in the building, let me know where you coming from so I can give you a shout out. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Everything Boxing and Sports on YouTube. And y'all know the routine. Let some people know I'm on. And then we can get the show started. Come on. That's on my soul. Finally, I found me. Mr. Reyes J, what's good? Coming in the building from that 310. Michael Bass Jr. coming in the building from that Chi-Town. What it do? Oh, yeah, we gonna cook tonight. What's up with it? And like I said, I'm just, letting some people know I'm on. Jewels of Life, what's good? What's happening with it? Oh, yeah, you already know it's that old zero. You know what I'm saying? That I found me. Man, people sleep on Zero, a trill legend. But man, that when Zero and Trey was together, man, that Gorilla Mob, shit. They don't know nothing about that Gorilla Mob. Oh, Trey says hold. Leave me alone. I don't want to go to the club. I'm cool in the streets, bitch. Just leave me the room. Don't call my cell phone. Don't give a damn if I get one of my dome. Fuck you, really, y'all don't understand my zone. Finally, I found me. I don't need man. And like I said, when you come in the building, let me know where you coming from so I can, give you a shout out. Tap in the comment section, and we gonna get the show started real soon. I'm just giving people a chance to, let them know I'm on. I didn't let nobody know I was coming on. I just, got in and was like, okay, let me get on and do the show. So, yeah, tap in the comment section. Let me know where you're coming from. And share this to all your boxing groups too. If you on Facebook watching it, share this to all your boxing groups. What's up, Winnie? Yes, sir. Jules, you say you from Cali, and my homie Casper put me on Zero while I was playing Super Street Fighter 4. Yeah, that's Zero, man. That's Zero. All the Zero shit go hard. All the Zero shit go, especially his old shit though. His Zero old stuff goes stupid hard. Y'all see Ezekiel Elliott, man. He got that coronavirus. That shit crazy. And they saying in the Cowboys, my squad. So they saying a lot of players from the Cowboys and the Texans got it. That shit wild. People walking around here like I know where I'm from, people walking around here like the coronavirus don't even exist no more. They walking around clubs and open, all that shit. They walking around like it just disappeared. That's why we about to see a big, huge spike in these numbers. Cause a lot of people don't even think it's real, which is crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy, but that's what a lot of people don't even think it's real. And like I said, I'm gonna get the show started soon. But did y'all hear about that? Did y'all hear about what's going on? You know, I don't know. I'm not getting on the hold on real quick. Let me check something. But did y'all hear about Ezekiel Elliott getting that coronavirus? And like I said, we finna get started real quick, real soon here. So once again, if you're in the building before I get the show started, tap in. Let me know where you're coming from. Lewis hitting off in the building. What's good with it? Sporting Advantage off in the building. What's good with it? So did y'all hear about? And for some reason, I'm not getting everybody's comments, but just bear with me. It should come through in a minute. But yeah, did y'all hear about that? Ezekiel Elliott. They say that Ezekiel Elliott and several other Cowboys and Texans tested positive for the coronavirus. And this shit ain't nothing to play with. Ain't nothing to play with. But so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. First thing I'm gonna get into, Lewis Hen coming from that Mississippi. Yes, Sporting Advantage is crazy. And this is it's crazy. You know, I'm gonna go back to the Ezekiel Elliott. And you know, they said several Cowboys and several Houston Texans have tested positive for the coronavirus, and one of them was Ezekiel Elliott. And this shit crazy because this is probably going to affect the way the football season starts. This going to affect we might not get the NFL like we thought we was going to get it. You know, it looked like that everybody was on pace to be able to get the NFL as scheduled. But I think this is going, you know, this shit right here is going to put a setback on the NFL opening. It's going to put a setback on the NFL opening, especially, you know, one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest stars of the Dallas Cowboys, you know, Cowboys, he didn't test positive. It's crazy. And I already know they're going to make a big issue with Ezekiel Elliott testing positive for COVID-19 because, you know, he was already being hard-headed about the shit when it first struck. You know, if y'all remember, they was getting on his helmet about him and Dak, you know, having a little party at Dak's house or whatever, get together or whatever, and they was already talking shit to him about it. So this gonna be a big issue, and I think this him testing positive, and all of the other players that they said that's tested positive in Texas, it's gonna set the football season back. Sporting Advantage says, I wonder if golf storms have brought more to come. Man, we don't know. This shit crazy. We ain't never been through nothing like this in our lifetime. Mike Oliver in the building. What's good with it? But yeah, we never been through nothing like this in our lifetime. So, you know, we don't know what's going to go down with it, you know. But I can almost guarantee you this, that the football season not gonna start now like we thought it was. So with this happening, we already know that a lot of the NBA players is kind of pushing back. They don't want to play, due to some of them don't want to play due to the fact that they want to, focus on the issues that's going on with all of the racial injustice and everything that's going on, right? And then other players don't want to start the NBA season because they scared. They don't want to have to be in no bubble and away from their family for, months at a time or whatever, playing the NBA playoffs in games or whatever. So it's a lot going on. So with these new cases coming up in the NFL, I think it's not only going to affect the NFL, it's also going to affect the NBA season starting back up, because the NBA, they were supposed to start back up the end of July. So it's crazy. It's crazy. But nevertheless, we got boxing. Elvis Rodriguez was good with it. He said he represented that NC. What's happening with it? That North Kakalaki. So yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Let's get into it. What we all on here to hear. So if y'all ain't seen, if y'all ain't heard about it yet, Oscar De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia, once again, they getting into it. Once again, Oscar De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia, they beefing over bread. Now, if you remember, if y'all want to go back to what is it, September? Yeah, I think back in September, if y'all remember, Ryan Garcia and Oscar De La Hoya, they were, they had a big beef going on. Canelo, he spoke up on it, and the beef is that Ryan Garcia was vocal about them lowballing him. About him. I think at that time they was trying to give him maybe it was like 50,000 to fight Ryan Duno or something. I think that's what it was back in September, right? So it was a big issue. Everybody knew that Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy was beefing, right? So supposedly they had cleared all of that up. Everything was cool. They came out. Ryan Garcia came out. He said everything was all good. Oscar De La Hoya came out. He came out talking about that Ryan Garcia is a star. They just basically had finalized the deal on giving Ryan Garcia one of the biggest contracts ever for an up-and-coming prospect. And, from there on, it looked like everything was all good. It was no more problems in the Golden Boy house. You know what I'm saying? But now, all of a sudden, it don't look like everything is so golden over there with Golden Boy. Everything ain't so golden over there with Golden Boy now. They having issues once again. I know everybody's, if you didn't see, Tank and Ryan Garcia, they was going back and forth. Tank was basically, teasing Ryan Garcia, clowning him about only making 200,000, for this upcoming fight that he's supposed to have upcoming, 200,000, right? So they going back and forth. Now, Ryan Garcia, he recently came out and, he had some words to say about them lowballing him and about them at Golden Boy, specifically Oscar De La Hoya, not paying him what he's worth. Ryan Garcia feels that you trying to pay me these little 200,000 purses, 50,000 purses, or whatever it may be, and I'm the one that's putting all the asses in the seats, whether it's boxing fans or young teenage girls or whatever it may be. They paying to see me. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing money to the table. So I'm no longer going to let y'all lowball me. That's basically what Ryan Garcia is saying. Shout out to Ralph Estrada off in the building. He says, I'm tired of Ryan Garcia crying. All he does is cry. He says, I have no respect for the kid who has done nothing to this date in boxing but complain. And we're going to get all into that. I like to get everybody's take on it. And we're going to look at this from all angles. We're going to look at this from all angles. Jewels of Life says Oscar De La Hoya is on one saying Virgil Ortiz better. Yeah, I seen that. So check this out. And he said Ryan got 70,000 plus followers to a million. Exactly. Jewels of Life. So like I said, we're gonna look at this from all angles. So basically Ryan Garcia, he don't feel like that he's getting paid what he deserved. He continue to have to go back and forth with Oscar De La Hoya because he feels that they lowballing him straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? He feels that he continues to get lowballed. And if you in the building, if you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel, Everything Boxing and Sports. Also, hit my like button. You know what I'm saying? If you watching, hit the like button. It don't take no time to hit a like button. That's it. Hit the like button. You know? So anyway, he feel like he getting lowball. He feel like that he's one of the names, you know, that's bringing all of him, and he feel like if it ain't for him or Canelo, Golden Boy wouldn't have shit. He feel like, you know, between him and Canelo, they the one that bring all the money. They the one that bring in all the asses to the seats, you know, and that's how he feel about it, right? So he was supposed to have a fight coming up on July the 4th. Oscar De La Hoya come out and he get right on the subject. Oscar De La Hoya kind of threw a shot. You know, it was kind of like he kind of threw a shot at Ryan, right? This is what Oscar De La Hoya had to say about the situation, right? Ashley's Corner off in the building. She say F Ryan Garcia. Man, y'all don't like Ryan Garcia. What's good with it, Ashley? So check this out. So Oscar De La Hoya, he come right out and he kind of get on Ryan Garcia's head. He says, due to Team Ryan Garcia's decision not to accept the July 4th bout, he says, we will now return in late July with the future of boxing. And he says, at Virgil Ortiz. He says, more exciting details to come. So, right, this is the thing. First, you was telling everybody that Ryan Garcia is the future of boxing. You knew from the first time that you saw Ryan Garcia that you seen something in this kid, and this was going to be the next big Oscar De La Hoya or the next Canelo, or even more than Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo. This was the next big thing. Now, after all of this, you come out and, you know, Oscar De La Hoya comes out and he kind of throw a shot. He like, look, all right, fuck it. Since he don't want to fight on July 4th, we're going to be coming back in late July with the real future of boxing, you know, and that's Virgil Ortiz. So, I mean, you could tell they going at it, and they doing it in public, and this is not the first time. We already know that Canelo, he don't really fuck with Oscar. The last time I heard a few months ago, Canelo's people had said that basically they wasn't even talking to Oscar De La Hoya. They was going through like a third party to communicate. So all I'm saying is this: if Canelo got a problem with you, young Ryan Garcia got a problem with you, all your past fighters got a problem with you, and that's not even all. That's not it. We just getting into this topic. That's not it, because Jermell Charlo, he came out and he spoke on the situation, and I'm gonna let y'all know what Jermell Charlo said in a minute, right? But so if all these fighters got a problem with you, Oscar De La Hoya, right? You know what I'm saying? We ain't even gonna talk about you putting spatulas up your behind and running around in female fishnet panties and shit, right? But everybody got a problem with you, right? And then Canelo, he got a problem with you, and he making all of this money. So all your past fighters, none of them talk good about being with you. So I'm saying it gotta be you. It gotta be you. So the thing is, now, before I get into y'all comments, I'm gonna just give my quick take, and then I'm gonna get on your comments. All right. So I don't know what numbers Ryan Garcia is doing. I watch his fights, and when he do have his fights, he ain't really fighting no known opponents. But one thing I do notice is that he's kind of a big deal. Especially over there on Golden Boy. I mean, he a big deal. Ryan Garcia is a big name. He's a big name. He's an up and coming superstar for real. Like we say that Tank Davis is a big name. Ryan Garcia is a big name, and it might not be all from fans that watch boxing. He got like these young teenage girls. They follow him. He's he's a charismatic figure. So he's a big name for whatever it may be. If you go look at his Instagram followers, he got over 1 million followers. He's a big name. Virgil Ortiz is not on that level yet, right? Virgil Ortiz is probably the better fighter, no doubt, right? But as far as names and putting asses in the seats, Ryan Garcia is a big name. He sells tickets from what I see. So, you trying to pay him $50,000 for one fight, right? That shit ain't gonna slide. And then you trying to pay him what, 200,000 right now? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But he don't feel that that's right. I know a lot of people don't like Ryan Garcia. Me personally, I like the kid. I don't have no problem with the kid. I don't have no problem with the kid. A lot of people think he cocky and all of that shit. But at the end of the day, I like fighters like that. You know what I'm saying? I like fighters like that. I don't have a problem with the kid. I know he rub a lot of people the wrong way, but I'm like, he just a kid. You know what I'm saying? He doing his thing. I don't have a problem with Ryan Garcia. But this is how I feel. If he's one of the only people that you got over there on Golden Boy, and we know that Golden Boy, they not stacked. They not pushing, they not popping like that. Golden Boy is not stacked and they not popping like that. So if Ryan Garcia is one of the only fighters that's really bringing, asses to the seats, that people are really tuning in to see, right? And I know this, Ryan Garcia is, people watching him. If he one of the only ones besides Canelo that people are really watching, you better get it right. You better get it right. You better pay that man. You dig what I'm saying? You better pay him because if he leave, you ain't got too much more over there. Yeah, you got Virgil Ortiz, but Virgil Ortiz is a great fighter inside of the ring. Virgil Ortiz doesn't have, the charisma. Virgil Ortiz doesn't bring, he doesn't bring the excitement like that because Virgil Ortiz is not a big talker. It sucks that you did that, you got to be like that in boxing at times, but Virgil Ortiz is, he's not doing nothing for people that don't know about boxing to want to tune in and watch him right now. It's going to take a while before Virgil Ortiz get on that level. But Ryan Garcia is on that level right now. And I'm not saying he's on that level because of what he's done in the ring, but regardless of why he's on that level right now. So, you know what I'm saying? You might want to pay him. You dig what I'm saying? You might want to pay him because now you talking about you got to cancel a whole fight card that you had coming up on July the 4th because Ryan Garcia don't want to fight. Now, who losing more money now? If you got to cancel that card on July the 4th, who losing more money? Right? Y'all losing money and y'all don't, Golden Boy don't have no room to wiggle to be losing no type of bread. So, you better holler at him and you better, you better pay that man. You better pay the kid for real. But let me see what y'all talking about in the comment section. I'm gonna get through all your comments and let's see what y'all talking about in the comment section. Let me see. Ralph Estrada says Virgil Ortiz has more upside than Ryan Garcia. He says that Ryan can have 1 billion followers. He says, but not one of them followers getting in the ring for him. Yeah, but see, you dig what I'm saying though. I feel you. That's basically what I said too. That Virgil Ortiz is better inside the ring, but we know that boxing is a business. That's what it's come to, and that's just what it is. Brandon House says he better take that 200K low key. He says and move on. He says it's only to get better for him. It's only gonna get better for him in the long run as he dominates. I can see that too. I can see that too. It ain't like that. And see, I look at this from both sides, right? I look at this both ways. Okay. It ain't like you getting in there and you fighting no tough competition. If they want to, if they giving you 200K to go in there and fight a Rudy Poot, well, go in there and fight that Rudy Poot and get him out of there and get your little 200K. But see, this is the thing, right? This is the thing when we really dig deep down into it. We see 200K. We see, okay, well, that ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? He can go in there, do the job, get his 200. That's what we see, right? When you break it down, when you under when you under contract with somebody like Golden Boy, right? Then you got a manager, then you got trainers, and you got this, and that. That 200, and then you got taxes. That 200K, after all said and done, he might be getting like 50,000, if that. So we see 200K, but after all said and done, he might only clear like 50,000, if that. You dig what I'm saying? He might only clear 50,000, 40, 50,000. So now when you look at it, that 200K ain't all to be what it is, So, it's deeper than that 200K. Jules of Life says Ryan Garcia is the man at 135 and is my favorite 135er. I wouldn't say he the man, but this is the thing, right? Everybody's saying, okay, if we look at 135, we see Teofimo Lopez, we see Vasil Lomachenko, we see Tank Davis, we see Luke Campbell, we see all these 135 pounders, right? Most of all these guys, besides Vasil Lomachenko, and most of all of them ain't really fought nobody yet, right? Besides Vasil Lomachenko, especially at 135, right? So the jury is still out on all of these fighters. A lot of people shitting on Ryan Garcia saying all of them will beat him. They'll all beat him. Well, I would think that too. I might think that too. But at the end of the day, if we gonna keep it 100 and real, we don't know that, because ain't nobody beat him yet. Just like ain't nobody beat these other guys that we talking about at 135 pounds, Devin Haney included, right? So we don't know. Most of them ain't fought nobody yet. Devin Haney included. You know what I'm saying? Most of them ain't fought nobody if you're not talking about Vasil Lomachenko. Tank Davis, he's had, okay competition, but he still ain't fought top level competition. So most of these dudes ain't fought nobody. So I can't just sit here and tell you, oh, everybody beats him. I can't tell you that because ain't nobody never beat him yet. So I can't sit there and fix my mouth to tell you that, oh, everybody beats him. I can tell you, well, I'm going to favor the rest of these guys against him. But until they get in the ring, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. He could fuck around and whoop all of them. Do I feel that way? No, but I'm just saying that we really don't know. You know what I'm saying? Ashley's Corner says, Oscar seen fornication in Ryan. Hey, I wouldn't doubt it, Ashley. You know what I'm saying? Oscar might want to put something up in Ryan, I wouldn't doubt it. Sport Advantage says we have seen this happen before with other fighters in the mix. Ashley's Corner says Oscar's a disgrace. Y'all don't fuck with Oscar. Like I said, if everybody that's ever dealt with you have had a problem with you, it gotta be you. That's what I'm saying. It gotta be you. If everybody that's ever dealt with you don't have nothing good to say about you, And Brandon House says he better. I read that one. Sport Advantage. He say everyone sees Garcia is still working on body. Clearly wants nothing inside. Like I said, we got to see him in a tough fight. We got to see him with higher level competition, just like the rest of these dudes. Free Smoke says Ryan is calling Oscar's bluff. Like, if you really like me, you would pay me more. But yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I can't really fault him for one more, because like I said, once again, that 200K, when he get it in his pocket, it ain't gonna be nowhere near 200K. So that's a different story. Curtis Anderson, salute the OG Curtis Anderson, salute. The Boxing Dictionary, you know what I'm saying? AKA the Boxing Dictionary, Curtis Anderson, off in the building. Brandon House says, and please let these casuals know that Jermell was signed to Golden Boy for 7 years before he got with Al. He says De La Hoya kept promising him the Canelo fight and then turned around and gave it to Kirkland. Yeah, and we know why. So, and I'm gonna get into all of that right now, Brandon. Let me get through the rest of these comments, and then we're gonna cook on what Jermell Charlo had to say. Ashley's Corner says Ryan's trying to get a couple big paydays and retire. That's why Oscar is holding him back. Nah, man. Ryan career is just starting. Ryan career just started. Ashley's Corner. That kid got a lot of greatness in him, you know, and he's still getting a lot better. I mean, we see him working with Eddie Reynoso, the same trainer as Canelo Alvarez, and we see him getting better every fight. So we can't just shit on the kid like that, you know. I know a lot of people don't like the kid, but we can't just shit on him, you know, and he haven't shown us nothing but, you know, future greatness. He ain't shown us nothing but, I mean, we got to keep the same energy, right? We got to keep the same energy. And that's why I like to keep it straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing, you know, I don't call it no bias. I'm not a bias. You know, I have no bias when I talk about these subjects. We got to keep it straight down the middle. You know, just like we see Devin Haney and all these other young fighters doing their thing. We got to give Ryan Garcia the same respect, because he doing the same shit that they doing. You know, he going out there and he getting knockouts. Tank Davis is going out there and getting knockouts. What's the difference? You know, ain't no difference. They just got to get in there and they all got to fight each other. Elvis Rodriguez says, cut these promoters completely out. He says fighters and their teams need to negotiate their own terms with each other. He says promoters are the reason why we are not seeing better fights. I agree. But I mean, boxing has a standard that's been around for hundreds of years. So it's much easier said than done. You dig what I'm saying? Like, we all want to see these promoters cut out, but it's much easier. It's a lot more complicated. You know, it's a lot more complicated. Sporting Advantage says Ryan Garcia on KSI versus Paul made a huge jump from Instagram to boxing, and that's a fact. We got to look at the facts behind it. We got to look at these things. And if you in the building, hit the like button, because it don't take you no time to punch a like button. And go to and if you're not on YouTube watching, go to YouTube, subscribe to Everything Boxing and Sports. You see it on the screen. Type in Everything Boxing and Sports and subscribe to the channel. Ralph Estrada says, I agree. Ashley's Corner says Ryan Garcia is ducking Devin Haney. And Ashley, I agree. He is ducking Devin Haney. I feel you on that, Ashley. He is ducking Devin Haney. And he made it clear he was ducking Devin Haney. When Devin Haney hopped in the ring on that ass, you know, Ryan Garcia was stuttering and some more shit. But that's beside the fact, you know, that don't really got nothing to do with this subject. You dig? Cash Lansky off in the building. What's good with it? What's good with it, my brother? But yeah, that's a fact. You dig what I'm saying? He is ducking Devin Haney, but you know, that don't really have nothing to do with his bread. Sporting Advantage says no promos like that. And then Elvis Rodriguez says, I like Ryan, you right. Okay, Cash Lansky, I'm gonna inbox me and I'm gonna check that out. Uh, Ashley's Corner says, that's a fact, fam. Let me see. Okay, Cassandra Mason off in the building, coming from that Cincinnati, Ohio. And she says, checking in. She says, got caught up watching WWE Monday Night Raw. Hey, my pop still be on that Monday Night Raw heavy. He still be on that WWE hella heavy. I gotta check my daughters be watching this sometime, but I'm so far behind. I can't, I kind of got out of the loop. And every time I turn it on, I see what's them dudes, them big black dudes that be dancing and shit. They be getting on my nerves. They be eating the cereal and shit, dancing. I can't think of their name, but they just rub me the wrong way. So I flip the channel every time I turn to it. Benny Davis, let me see. Free Smoke says, he talking to Ashley. So yeah, I mean, that's just how I feel about the situation, because like I said, that 200K, once you break that down and you pay the promoter, you pay your manager, you pay this, you know what I'm saying, you pay the taxes, you pay your sparring partners and all of that. That 200K ain't gonna be nothing but a little 40K, 50K, Todd Swindle off in the building from that ATL. Yeah, Cassandra New Day. Every time I see them dudes New Day, man, they get on my nerves. Like, I'm like, man, these big motherfuckers, they too goddamn goofy to be acting. They too big to be acting that goddamn goofy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Running around in the ring and humping the air and then I'm old school. I'm old school wrestling, Shit, they just be doing too much of goofy shit. I come from the old school. But yeah, Cassandra Mason off in the building from that Cincinnati, Ohio. But anyway, yeah, so I mean, that's just how I feel about the situation. That's how I feel about the whole situation. Oscar De La Hoya better get his shit straight. Now, I'm gonna go on to let y'all know what Jermell Charlo said about the situation, because like my man said, that like he was like my man Brandon House, I think it was Brandon House that was saying earlier that people forget that Jermell Charlo was with Golden Boy for 7 years and he couldn't get no shine. You dig what I'm saying? He didn't get no shine until he moved over to Al Heyman. He didn't get no shine. He wouldn't get paid. They kept promising him the bout with Canelo, and he couldn't get the fight with Canelo. And Charlo wouldn't get no shine over there with Golden Boy. Spence was over there with Golden Boy. Deontay Wilder was with Golden Boy. All of them was with Golden Boy. You dig what I'm saying? And they wasn't making no bread. They wouldn't get no shine over there with Golden Boy. And they all felt that they had to move on. Brandon House says the Bushwhackers. Yeah, man. But the Bushwhackers, they wasn't big like that. Like, them dudes is too wearing 305 and shit, running around acting hella goofy like that. I can't. That shit, I don't know. That shit rubbed me the wrong way. But so anyway, this is what Jermell Charlo had to say. Speaking to Ryan Garcia, he says, bruh, nobody better than Al Heyman. He says, I left Golden Boy making 100K. He says he left Golden Boy. He was only making 100K. He says he got with Al Heyman and he was making 10 times more. He says, bruh, you too popular to be with them. He says, don't be used to, he says, don't be used or put on the shelf. He says, you too popular to be with them. He says, don't be used or put on the shelf. He says, you're young. He says, be smart. He says, do you realize you're supposed to be, he says, do you realize you're supposed to be my promoter and not my hater, right? Basically, telling them, Oscar De La Hoya, like, do you realize you're supposed to be his promoter and not hating on him? Like, you stopping him from making bread. So that's from Jermell Charlo mouth that was with Golden Boy for 7 years under Oscar De La Hoya, promoted by Oscar De La Hoya. And once again, he's telling you when he was over there, He wasn't making shit. He said the most he was making was 100K. He says he got with Al Heyman, and right off rip, he started making 10 times more. He also says that Ryan Garcia is way too popular to be getting lowballed like that. You know, he says that Ryan Garcia need to be smart and realize that he's supposed to be promoting you and not hating on you. So basically, it's crazy because basically Jermell Charlo, in so many words, said the same things that I just said, right? And you too popular. Because like I said, once again, we all got to think that when that 200K come, when he get it, it's going to be 40, 50K. So, you know, what y'all think about, what do y'all think about, you know, about this whole, you know, subject now that Jermell, you heard what Jermell Charlo had to say about, you know, being with Golden Boy. What y'all think about that? Tap in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about that. Yeah, so Jermell Charlo. Yeah, actually Jermell Charlo. He the one that said that. So what y'all think about that? Jermell Charlo telling him, hey, you need to come over here with Al Heyman because he gonna hate on you. He gonna set you back. You know, you ain't gonna make no bread and you're not gonna grow. So Ashley Corner said she thinks that Ryan should leave. Hey, I agree with you. But we don't know what type of contract he in. But if he make enough noise, see, this is the thing with Ryan Garcia, right? This is the thing with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, the good thing with Ryan Garcia is he has a close relationship with Canelo, right? He got a close relationship with Canelo. Now, Ryan Garcia, he young. He can't really pull no strings. He ain't got no, you know what I'm saying? He ain't got no seniority to be telling nobody what he is or what he not going to do, right? Because at the end of the day, they could pull out that contract and say, look, you still signed with us for this amount of time. You either going to fight or we going to take you to court, right? But this is the thing. This is the good thing with Ryan Garcia. He has a good relationship with Canelo, and he's trained by Eddie Reynoso, who also trains Canelo. So I think that Ryan Garcia, you know, Canelo can pull some strings. Canelo could, if Canelo, you know, really got Ryan Garcia back, you know, they do got a close relationship. Canelo could be like, look, hey, you either gonna pay him or you're gonna let him out of his contract, or you're gonna have some problems with me. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen Canelo take that stance before with Ryan Garcia. You know, back in September when Ryan Garcia had these problems, Canelo kind of, you know, he came to the forefront and he stood up for Ryan Garcia. So once again, Ryan Garcia is kind of in good hands because he got Canelo backing him, and they can't afford to make Canelo mad or lose Canelo straight up. If Canelo leaves, or you know, if they got to let Canelo go, it's no more Golden Boy. Canelo is the one that's holding Golden Boy up almost by himself. Without Canelo, it's no more Golden Boy. So Canelo can pull some strings in this situation. You know, we know that Ryan Garcia is probably tied to a contract that he can't get out of that easy. But if Canelo is like, look, hey, you better give him his money or let him out of his contract, or we gonna have some problems. And I think that's Ryan Garcia's you know, I think that's his best bet, is to hope that Canelo, you know, get on the forefront and stick his neck out again for him. Let me see. Cassandra Mason says, I know I checked in late, but what is the deal with Ryan Garcia? He's not taking the July 4th fight. Who was he supposed to fight? So Cassandra Mason, I don't know who he was supposed to fight, but, you know, to sum it up real quick, the deal is that he ain't getting paid what he want to get paid. They lowballing him, he feel, again, and, you know, it's a problem. Brandon House says, Charlo ain't lying to him. He says he's speaking off experience. That's real. And we heard We've heard Errol Spence talk about it before. We've heard Errol Spence talk about the same shit, really. That, hey, you had me over there with Golden Boy. You had Deontay Wilder. You wasn't treating none of us right. So they let you know something. X Fighter 47 said he should promote himself. Well, I mean, he really do his own promoting. You know what I'm saying? We know the way that Ryan Garcia has all of these followers, and because he's known is because he do promote himself. But I mean, as far as contracts and all of that stuff, you can't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm gonna promote myself. I'm not gonna deal with them no more," because they have you inked in on a contract. What that contract consists of, I don't know. Todd Swindle says, is Bernard Hopkins still involved with Golden Boy? He says Garcia should get to step and fuck Golden Boy. I feel you, Todd. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins, he's still involved. How much Bernard Hopkins is involved, I don't know, because Golden Boy is really not a factor like that. You know what I'm saying? They only got a few fighters. Ashley's Corner says Canelo don't like Oscar. No, he don't. He let that, he made that clear. He don't even speak to him at the press conferences no more. Kurt Anderson says Ryan has to be patient. He says the better opponents, the more money he says he will get. Big names, big money. And I feel you. Like I said, we have to look at it from all different angles. And that's one very valid angle that we got to look at it. Kurt Anderson is like, okay, like I said, if you fighting a Rudy Poo, go take that little bread and, get your little payday and get up out of there. But like I said, he might be pissed off because he knows out of that $200K that Golden Boy is going to get a huge chunk. Then DAZN might get their bread. You know what I'm saying? If they fight on DAZN, you got your manager. It's 40, 50K you might come out with, if that. So I think that's the big picture that we don't really realize, because we see 200K and then we see, well, that ain't that bad, but it's a lot less than 200K when you breaking down these numbers. Jewels of Life says Ryan should take Little Charlo's advice. He says Little Charlo is living lavish and healthy. Yeah, Jermell Charlo living. Jermell Charlo got that bread, got businesses. He living. We seen his mansions, cars, all of that. Got several mansions. So he getting bread with Al Heyman over there. Free Smoke says Fishnet Oscar treating Jermell like he doing Ryan. He said like he doing Ryan now. He was treating Jermell like he doing Ryan now. He says low balling and holding him back from the fights. He says he wants to have, he low balling and holding him back from the fights he want to have. But I don't know, man. I know he low balling him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe Ryan Garcia is using this as a negotiation tactic to get more money. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he using it as a negotiation tactic to get more money. So we'll see soon. We'll see soon, because like I said, Oscar De La Hoya could come out with that bluffing shit all he want to and say that July 4th card is canceled. But Oscar De La Hoya cannot afford, with his promotional company, to cancel no cards at this moment, right? They ain't had boxing and I don't know when. They cannot afford to cancel shit right now. And Golden Boy, we all know Golden Boy is barely holding on by a thread right now. They barely holding on by their last thread right now. So they can't even afford to cancel shit. Brandon House says, I think he signed some type of 20-year deal with Golden Boy. It goes outside of boxing. He says, I remember reading some crazy shit like that. It's like a pop star deal. If he did that, that's just ignorant. If he signed some 20-year deal, I mean, if that's the truth, that shit is ignorant. Why would you do something like that? How many years did Ryan sign for? X Fighter 47 says, I don't know. Free Smoke says Canelo is the diamond and Ryan is the jewelry. He says you just wear around the. He says Ryan's the jewelry you just wear around the house. He says De La Hoya is not that impressed with the house jewelry, but who else he got? He ain't got nobody else right now except for Virgil Ortiz, and Virgil Ortiz is not that known as of yet. Jupiter B off in the building. What's good with it? Curtis Anderson says Ryan just can't leave. He just signed a 5-year deal. Okay, so Curtis Anderson says he signed a 5-year deal, right? And I know, and I know Kurt Anderson be knowing his shit. He know his stuff when it comes to boxing, as well as Brandon House. He know his shit too. Yeah. So we hear he signed a 5-year deal. That sounds, that sounds accurate to me. You did. Stay ready. Boxing TV off in the building. What's good with it? Stay ready. Mike Oliver said yes, he did the 20-year. So Mike Oliver said he did sign that 20-year. See, I'm gonna have to go research that. I'm gonna have to do my homework and see how long Ryan Garcia signed for. Because we got a 20-year, we got a 5-year. So I'm gonna have to do my homework and see what he signed for, because I don't know, to be honest. Free Smoke says, yep, you get he says you get one. He says, I think he meant to say you get what you negotiate. He says closed mouths don't get fed. Yeah, that's real shit. But we see him do it in the NBA, NFL. They'll negotiate for one thing. They start, they start putting up bigger numbers. They star power grow, and then they go back to the table and sit down. It's not really like that in boxing, though. Ralph Estrada says, if you know boxing, you know Virgil Ortiz. Of course, if you know boxing. But when we talk about these cards that's Golden Boy's putting on, a lot of these fans don't know boxing like that. You dig what I'm saying, Ralph? A lot of them fans don't know boxing like that. They know, that's why they having cards with internet sensations on there and shit. A lot of them fans over there on DAZN, and that's going to them, watching them Golden Boy cards, they don't know boxing. So what all I'm saying is Virgil Ortiz is, as far as putting asses in the seats and being known, he ain't nowhere near Ryan Garcia right now. Is he a better fighter than Ryan Garcia? Yeah, I believe so. Will he be a bigger star further down the line? He probably will. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But right now, he's not there. Let me see. Jupiter B says, why would you sign anything for 20 years? Damn. That's what I'm saying. If that shit true, why would you do that? Ryan Garcia, X-Fighter 47 says, Ryan Garcia, he's going to retire at 26. He says, why would he sign for 20 years? Real shit. I don't. No, he ain't. Wait, hold on. Nah. Hey, he ain't retiring no damn 26. Ryan Garcia got a long career ahead of him. I don't know where you get that he retiring at 26 from. Nobody under Golden Boy can beat Tank. Alonzo Tiger Sewell. I wouldn't favor Ryan Garcia over Tank. I wouldn't favor him over Tank. Nah, I sure wouldn't. Curtis Anderson says boxing is a business. That's real, Kurt. That's real. Blue Blood Sports TV, salute. Off in the building, the king. Blue Blood Sports TV. And if you're not subscribed to Blue Blood Sports TV, I don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Just like my partner Ralph just said, he says everybody in boxing know who Virgil Ortiz is if you're a real boxing fan. Well, if you're a real boxing fan, you need to be subscribed to Blue Blood Sports TV and my partner Stay Ready Boxing TV if you're a real boxing fan. Now, if you're casual, you might not be. Let me see. Lamar Davis says Ryan did mention that he doesn't want to box past 26. Man, if Ryan got in his head, Ryan Garcia is 21? If he has in his head right now that he don't want to box past 26, I'm going to let y'all know right now that Ryan Garcia, if he got that in his head at 21, that he don't want to box past 26, if he said that, excuse me, I don't know if he did say that, but my man in the chat say that Lamar Davis says that he said he don't want to box past 26. I don't know if he said that, but if he did say that, I'm telling you and everybody that's listening right now that Ryan Garcia will never be a factor in the sport of boxing. If he has in his head right now at 21 that he want to retire at 26, he'll never be a big factor in boxing if he has that in the back of his mind already right now. So that's just what that is. I could see if he said he don't want to box past 30, 31, 32, but 26, no. You not even 26, you might not even hit your prime yet. So what dumb shit that's retarded to say. You know what I'm saying? 26, you most of these dudes ain't even hit their prime yet at 26. Let me see. Curtis Anderson said a promoter can't sign a fighter for more than 8 years. It's the Muhammad Ali Act. Okay. Yeah, that 20 years, like that shit, I mean, that don't even sound right. 20 years. Yeah, so Curtis Anderson says that 20 years it can't be. He says because the promoter cannot sign a fighter more than 8 years. He says it's under the Muhammad Ali Act. That makes a lot more sense to me. Brandon House says it's like how Dana White did with the UFC fighters. He says they can't act in the movie. He says they can't act in a movie or endorsements without him getting a percentage. Yeah, Dana White, you know, Dana White did rob the bank a whole lot of times when it comes to his fighters. You know, no shit surprised me with Dana White. Benny Davis says Ryan will be hitting his prime at 26. He might. You don't know. You dig what I'm saying? Like say Errol Spence, right? He 30. I still don't think that we've seen Errol Spence's best yet. I still don't think that we've seen Errol Spence's best yet. You know, he ain't got a lot of fights. It just all depends on how many fights you got. You dig what I'm saying? When Canelo was 26, Canelo still hadn't hit his prime. Canelo is probably in his prime now. You know, he probably just hit his prime, you know, right around the Triple G fight, second Triple G fight. How old is Canelo? Is Canelo like what? How old is Canelo? Let me see how old Canelo is. But yeah, Jupiter B says facts. That's not prime for most. Yeah, like I said, most of these dudes, they don't really hit their prime till they like 27, 28. Some of them, you know what I'm saying? It just all depends how many fights you got. All depends. Okay, Ralph Estrada says Canelo's 30. Okay. And we just seen Canelo really, you know, really the past couple years, we just saying like, okay, Canelo, he's arrived. He really like, he done got a lot better. You know what I'm saying? So 24 years ago, Canelo was 26. He wasn't in his prime yet. When Errol Spence was at 26, he was not in his prime. So, you know, think about that. Most of these dudes ain't in their prime at 26. They ain't even hit their prime yet. So, like I said, if he said that, he better rethink that. But anyway, so moving along, right? Moving along. This is another subject I want to cook on. I really want to get into this, right? This is something I really want to talk about because I listened to the recent interview that Terence Bud Crawford did, right? Y'all listen to me here. So I listened to the recent interview that Terence Bud Crawford did, right? And I'm gonna cook on this shit. Half of the people gonna feel what I'm saying. Half of y'all gonna get pissed off. But it is what it is. Okay. So I recently, you know, listened to Terence Bud Crawford on Brian Custer's podcast. I think it's called The Last Dance, right? And Terence Crawford, he talked about a lot. But one thing I want to cook on what he talked about, right? He was talking about how, you know, people don't like to give him credit for, he says that, you know, he was talking about how he was complaining about how he don't get credit for a lot of these fights that he's taking and he's fighting. He's saying like in one particular fight that he talked about was the Jose Benavidez fight. He says, you know, people want to complain and talk about how Jose Benavidez, you know, had a knee problem. He says, how can you say he had a knee problem? He says he had a fight before me and he got a knockout. He says when he fought me, he says leading up to the fight, he said that his knee was fine. So he says me beating him had nothing to basically do with his knee. He says, people don't want to give me credit because they saying that, his knee and this and that. He said, nah. Basically, he was like, basically he's pissed off because he feels that he's whooping these dudes, but it's always an excuse behind it, right? And one of them was Jose Benavidez. If y'all remember when he beat Jose Benavidez, a lot of people was able to see that Jose Benavidez's knee looked like it gave out. And from that point on, Jose Benavidez had no movement. He had no lateral movement at all, right? I mean, it was clear, right? It was clear. A lot of people talked about how would that fight have been if Jose Benavidez had two knees, if Jose Benavidez hadn't got hurt in that fight, or if he hadn't got shot in the knee, right? If he didn't have a knee injury, right? So Terence Crawford called that bullshit. He said, his knee didn't have nothing to do with him getting his ass beat, right? So basically, he deserved all of the credit for beating Jose Benavidez, just like he deserved all of the credit for whooping Amir Khan, right? And everybody else that he beat, right? So I'm like, okay, bet. So I'm listening to him, and I'm like, okay, cool, right? Cool. I don't have no problem with that. If you go in the fight, before going in the fight, and you got an injury, but you say it's all good and you take the fight anyway. Okay, well, I'm like, okay, bud, you cooking. Like, I feel you, bud. I don't have no problem with that, right? I'm like, you good. Okay, I don't have no problem with that. You got a point, bud, right? So I'm cool. So I'm listening, and I'm listening to the whole interview. And then he gets into Errol Spence, right? And he starts talking about, him. Bud starts talking about himself maybe fighting Kell Brook, right? And he says that if I fight Kell Brook, he says, I'm down to fight Kell Brook. He said, Kell Brook calling me out. He said, but this is the thing. He said, you can't call me out, right? He says, you cannot call me out and tell me to go to 154. He says, if I fight Kell Brook got to come to 147, And then he starts, giving Kell Brook his respect. He like, Kell Brook is this, Kell Brook is that. He said Kell Brook only really got one loss on his record, and that was Errol Spence. He says, I don't really count the loss that Kell Brook has with Gennady Golovkin. He says, because he had to move up and all of that. He says, so if you want to count Kell Brook, he says Kell Brook only has gotten beat one time. And he says that was by Errol Spence. Now, this is the thing right here. Now, listen to what I said, what Terence Crawford was complaining about before, right? Now, he starts talking about Errol Spence, and he says, and the only reason Errol Spence beat him is because Kell Brook suffered an eye injury, in the Golovkin fight. And then he suffered another eye injury when he fought Errol Spence. He says, if it wasn't for the eye injury, basically, he was saying that he don't think that he would have lost to Spence. He says because before Kell Brook suffered that eye injury, Kell Brook was beating Errol Spence, which is bullshit. Kell Brook was not beating Errol Spence before before Errol Spence basically broke his eye socket. That's what he did. He didn't suffer no eye injury. Errol Spence broke his eye socket, right? But I mean, he's saying the same thing that the fans are saying, right? He's saying the same thing that the fans are saying. So basically, he says, this is what Terence Crawford had to say. He says that Kell Brook was beating Errol Spence before he suffered the eye injury in that fight. He says that he believes that Kell Brook wouldn't even have lost that fight if it wasn't for the eye injury. So basically, he's saying that Errol Spence only won was only able to beat Kell Brook is because Kell Brook had a pre-existing eye injury and then got another eye injury in the fight when they fought, right? Right. So he's giving Errol Spence no credit for beating Kell Brook, right? And this is why a lot of diehard, and this is why this is the same shit that all his diehard fans say about Errol Spence. They don't want to give Spence no credit, right? So Terence Crawford, he piggybacks that and says the same exact shit. Okay, right? So you said that. Now, I got to go back to the beginning of the interview when you was talking about nobody giving you credit, right? Let's go back to the Benavidez fight. You was just on here crying, talking about that, oh, nobody want to give you credit because, you know, and you can't use Benavidez's knee as an excuse because he took the fight and this, and that. But then you turn around, right, and you do the same thing to Errol Spence that you was just crying, talking about people doing to you. So make that shit make sense to me, bud. You contradicting yourself. You was just on the same interview minutes ago, whining about not getting credit, right? Whining about you not getting no credit because people shouldn't, people should give you all the credit in the world for beating Benavidez. You know, you said Benavidez wasn't complaining about his knee before he took the fight or whatever, and you said it didn't have nothing to do with his knee, you know, that you beat his ass, right? And you want people to give you all the credit in the world. So like I said, cool, right? If that's how you, but why are you changing? Why can't you keep the same energy? And why are you saying the exact opposite and you doing the same thing that you was just whining about the fans doing to you with your fights? So make that shit make sense to me, bud, right? You don't want to, basically, if you listen to the interview, he's not giving Errol Spence no credit whatsoever for beating Kell Brook. And then he's going to try to sit up there and say that Kell Brook was winning the fight before the eye injury. Kell Brook was not winning the fight before the eye injury. The judges did not even have Kell Brook winning the fight before the eye injury. So that's some bullshit, right? Instead of saying that Errol Spence is the one that broke his opposite eye socket with that fucking straight and that jab that he kept hitting him with, but you don't want to give him no credit. But then you want people to give you credit when you in the fight and you beating up on a man that has no lateral movement because he has a pre-existing injury from being shot in the knee. And a blind man could see that in that fight, that Benavidez had no movement. So come on now. Like that, I wasn't feeling that shit at all. I wasn't feeling that shit. But let me get through some of y'all comments because I know y'all want to, you know, stay ready. I think he on the last topic. He says, you know, the WBO allows promotional companies to pick Mandos. He says it's in the rules. He says when he fights Mean Green and gets knocked down, he says, I take issues with that. I give him credit. That's real shit. I feel you, stay ready. Like, but he want all of the credit, but then he don't want to give, you know, he don't want to give Spence his credit for going overseas and doing what he had to do. Come on, man. D Hodges says, what up, everything? Chat LDBC. Salute, family. What's good with it? D Hodges. Stay ready says, but I also get on him because he can fight tougher comp. He says, people on Errol and Errol fighting the top competition. That's real shit. People shitting on Errol, but he fighting all the top competition. He says, but people say he ducking. Yeah, people try to say Errol ducking, but he fighting all of the top competition. And if you in the building, right, hit my like button, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's Everything Boxing and Sports, right? And hit my like button. It don't take no time to hit the like button. Ralph Estrada says, why Bud avoiding Porter? He says he ain't never mentioned Ugas. Facts. Well, he did talk about Ugas. He talked about he didn't really say too much about Sean Porter. He talked about Sean Porter a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Basically, he said, well, when Sean Porter had a belt, Sean Porter was never calling me out. That's basically what he had to say about Sean Porter. That was, you know, to sum it up. He ain't really say, but he talked about Ugas, and he said that he think Ugas is a solid fight. He says, but Ugas is not, he don't bring the money to the table like that. He says that Kell Brook is a bigger fight than Ugas. To basically, sum it up real quick. Jupiter B says that's a contradiction. Facts. That's a huge contradiction. He says I was agreeing with everything until he used the eye injury. He says how you want full credit for Benavidez but not give Errol full credit for Brook. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm watching the whole video, so I'm catching all of that slick shit he's saying. And I'm like, come on, dog. How you going, you just contradicted yourself, what you said earlier. Todd Swindle says Spence broke Brook. He says Spence broke Brook's eye socket. A fact. He broke his eye socket. It ain't like he just got in there and all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, the wind hit his fucking face and broke his eye socket. No. Jay Cooley says, Bud tough talk, but don't want to fight nobody. He says, fuck out of here. He says, can't wait till EJ put hands on his ass. And see, I fuck with Bud. But after watching that interview, I can't even lie to y'all. Like, I'm like, that shit kind of made me not even want to fuck with Bud. It was that shit that he said, and it was some other shit that he said, when he started talking about, Wilder and Fury. Few things he said in that interview, because I fuck with Bud heavy. Before, even though I was always riding with Spence, I still fucked with Bud heavy, into that shit. Like, I like, man, come on, don't do that. Don't do that, Bud. Let me see. KP from KC5 says, Bud really think Bob gonna get him Manny. Well, they say, you know what I'm saying? And he said it too. They say that they in deep conversation, but the thing is now Bob Arum is coming out and he's saying that they don't know if they can get an overseas venue where they don't know if any of these, he said he don't know if any of these venues overseas is going to be accepting fans. So he says that fight might have to hold off until next year. So, I don't know. He's saying now he coming out. He's saying that the Pacquiao and Bud Crawford fight might have to hold off till next year if they can't get it overseas and if the overseas venues ain't accepting fans together yet. So it's all up in the air. But they did put a list out of other opponents if they can't get Pacquiao. They put out Keith Thurman, which is some bullshit. Keith Thurman is not fighting nobody. Keith Thurman injured, and we don't even know when Keith Thurman coming back. And Keith Thurman sure ain't finna jump in the ring with no Bud Crawford off of an injury in over a year layoff, right? So that scratch that. I think they said Ugas, they said Kell Brook, and Sean Porter. So I mean, we probably gonna end up seeing him fight. I don't have no problem, like I said before, I'm sticking to my square. I'm standing on my square. I don't have no problem with him fighting Kell Brook because Kell Brook he ain't lost to nobody but Errol Spence and Gennady Golovkin. Kell Brook hasn't lost to nobody but the elite. So until you see somebody whoop his ass that's not at the elite level, we can't say he washed up. We might all assume that he's not the same fighter that he washed up, but we can't say that he just all the way washed up. So I don't have no problem with the Kell Brook fight, but I do have a problem with you contradicting yourself. So don't cry and tell me and say that all fans need to give you credit, right? And then you turn around and then you do the exact opposite of what you were preaching. So practice what you preach. And that made me lose a lot of respect for Bud, on also what he, basically what he said later on in the interview, how he talked about basically his favorite fighter was Tyson Fury. Okay, well, that's your opinion. And that basically, he didn't come out and say it, but he was rooting for Tyson Fury, and he said this next match that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder gonna fight, he says that he got Tyson Fury. So I looked at that as like, why you rooting against your countryman? So, it's a lot of shit that it's a few things that he said that kind of, personally, and I'm not telling y'all how y'all should feel about the man. It's just, you know, kind of struck me the wrong way. Let me see what else y'all talking about. Jupiter B says, I'm a big Bud fan, but yeah, that's a big contradiction. Facts, man. Facts. And like I said, I fuck with Bud heavy. You know, Brandon House says, Bud messed up re-signing. He says he really didn't want to come across the street. That's all. He says he's safe at top rank. And he talked about that too. Dayton Henry Jr. says Brook was a world champ fighting in his home country. Give EJ his credit. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? A world champ. And then and this is the funny thing, right? You said all of that stuff about Benavidez, right? You said, I quote, Benavidez wasn't complaining about his knee before the fight. He said that his knee was fine before the fight, right? Now let's go over to the Kell Brook Errol Spence fight. Kell Brook wasn't complaining about his eye before the fight. Kell Brook told you that his eye was 100% healed. He also told you that he was feeling very strong at the weight, and he said he was feeling 100% all the way around. So you continue to contradict yourself. Cassandra Mason says, yeah, I rock with Bud, but yeah, you hit it on the head in your voice. Make it make sense. Straight up, make it make sense. Please make it make sense. KP from KC5 says, Bud knew what he was doing in the interview. He sounds satisfied with what he's doing, and he's not going to take no risk. Yeah, well, another thing, I'm going to get into a few other things that Bud said. Curtis Anderson says, Errol took over after the 6th round. So, Kurt, this is how I feel. And I watched that fight more times than I can count. Watched it with the sound off and everything. I had Errol Spence winning through 6 rounds, right? But I had it a close fight, right? And then, right, like you said, Kurt, Errol started dominating, you know, after the 6th round, right? And I actually scored the fight, right? Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Hold on. Okay, this is how I scored the fight, right? Because it's been a lot of controversy and people still talking about this. And I'm gonna get through the rest of y'all comments. I ain't forgot y'all. Let me get through this real quick and I'm gonna read the rest of y'all comments. This is how I scored the fight, right? And I wrote notes because it was such a big topic, you know, at the time, right? I said round 1, I said both fighters was mostly filling each other out. I said Spence landed more of the cleaner shots, while Brook was really landing 1 or 2 clean shots the entire round. Like what I saw, I said the first round, Errol Spence, he landed the cleaner shots, and Kell Brook only landed 1 or 2 clean shots the whole entire first round, right? So I gave the first round to Spence. The second round, I said, Kell Brook won the second round clearly. I said he threw more shots than EJ and he landed more shots while Spence was coming forward in the high guard but not throwing many shots. So the second round, I had Kell Brook winning. I said that Kell Brook was throwing more shots and he was landing more shots. And I said that Errol Spence was basically just coming forward in the high guard and he wasn't really too active in round 2. Okay. Round 3, I said Spence dominated the first 2 minutes of round 3. I said then Brook won the last minute of round 3. I said so I gave the round to Errol Spence, but it was a close round. So I said round 3, I gave it to Errol Spence just for the fact that he dominated the first 2 minutes of the round. And then Kell Brook came back, but it was a close round that I gave to Errol Spence, right? Because I don't like to say shit like when I talk about close fights like this, I like to be able to tell you why I picked who I picked or why I'm saying what I'm saying. Right now, let's move on to round 4. Now, I said, let me see. Now I said round 4. Spence clearly won round 4. I said he was landing way more cleaner, harder shots while walking Brook down. So round 4, I got it for Spence again. So right, that's what 2 rounds to 1. Let me see. So and then round 5, I got I said both fighters uh damn it erased. I said I accidentally erased it. I don't know who I had for round 5 and erased it somehow. I said round 6, Spence dominated the round and starts to really break down Brook. I said the first 6 rounds, I said Spence was up. I had Spence up 5-1 on my cards, but you could have had it 3-3 depending on how the judges score round 3 and 5. So right there, right? Is that fair enough? I said I had it 5-1 after the first 6 rounds. I said, but you could have had it 3-3 depending on how the judges scored round 3 and 5. So right, you could have had it either way, right? You could have had it for Spence or you could have had it a draw. So I don't see how nobody was saying, oh, Kell Brook was beating the shit out of Spence until the eye injury. That's some bullshit, you know? And that was my honest opinion. I turned the volume down and I broke down the whole fight round by round. So that's how I had it. Let me go ahead and get through some of these comments. Brian B. Burns says Brook versus Spence was even prior to the first first knockdown. He says, I don't know. I don't agree with that. He says some don't want to admit it, but Brook was coming off of a devastating loss. We can't dismiss the fact that Brook had constructive surgery on his face prior to Spence. He says, I'm not convinced that Brook versus Spence doesn't go 12 rounds if Brook never faced Golovkin. He says the judges had to fight even prior to Brook taking a knee in round 11. That fight was not nowhere near even prior to round 11. I don't know what fight you was watching, but that fight was nowhere near even prior to round 11. Like I said, up until 6 rounds, through the first 5 rounds, the fight was very close. After that, Spence started pulling away with the fight clearly. So I don't know what fight you was watching. Jay Cooley says, do y'all remember when Bud first moved up? Was ESPN with Mike and Stephen A. He says they asked him who he wants. He says, and he runs 147. He says who he won at 147. That's what he's saying. He said Keith Thurman, and Stephen A. says I doubt that. He says I doubt that. What about Errol Spence? Okay, yeah, he says he doubt that. What about Errol Spence? Yeah, I remember when he asked him about Spence. And Keith Thurman, when he did move up to 147, he wasn't calling Errol Spence. He was calling Keith Thurman. But at that point in time, all the fighters was calling out Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was the man at that point in time. Brandon House says facts. He says, I never looked at it that way. He says they both had pre-existing injuries, but he wants all the credit. Exactly. And just like Brian Burns was just saying right now, you sound like you didn't want to give, well, it wasn't that you sound like Brian Burns. You didn't want to give Spence no credit for beating Kell Brook, right? But you ain't said nothing about Terence Crawford and the contradiction that he made with the Benavidez fight. KP from KC says PBC is SEC football and Top Rank is Big East football. Hey, that's real shit. Hey, that's a good comparison, my dude. Todd Swindle says Spence broke the other eye socket, not the reconstructed one. Straight up, it wasn't even the same eye socket. So what is we really saying here? Brian Burns says Bud needs to step up his opposition, no doubt, but Porter is the first legit matchup which Spence has had since winning the title. So you saying that Porter is his first legit matchups? So, I mean, how can you say that that's his first legit matchup? I mean, right? Peterson, right? Lamont Peterson is a solid opponent. Lamont Peterson gave Danny Garcia hell. A lot of people think that Lamont Peterson beat Danny Garcia. Lamont Peterson has beat, big names in the sport before. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Lamont Peterson is on the level of Bud Crawford or them dudes, but he is a solid opponent. Mikey Garcia, even though Mikey Garcia had to move up one weight class, because don't give me that two-weight class bullshit, because Mikey Garcia was a champ at 140. He beat Sergey Lipinets, right? At 140 pounds to become a champion at 140. And Sergey Lipinets has, now gone on to move up to 147. So Mikey Garcia beat Sergey Lipinets at 140, right? So Mikey Garcia moved up, but Mikey Garcia was like number 4 or 5 pound for pound. And Errol Spence went out there and whooped him every round. So you can't tell me, you cannot not give him credit for whooping Mikey Garcia every round, right? Now, you might have an argument if Mikey Garcia was able to go out there and give Errol Spence a tough fight. And then you could say, look, Mikey Garcia moved up in weight. He's a much smaller man, and he was able to give, Errol Spence a tough fight. Mikey Garcia didn't win not a damn round. So if you could beat a guy, I don't give a fuck if he is moving up in weight. If you could beat somebody 12 rounds to 0, and that same man is top 5 on the pound for pound list, well, you doing something. Lamar Davis says, Bud said he didn't want to fight Spence right now because he said he wouldn't get the credit because of the car accident, but wants the Benavidez credit. Exactly. Like, if you listen to the interview, this man is contradicting himself all over. Like everywhere, you know what I'm saying? He's contradicting himself continuously. Curtis Anderson says, Errol broke Kell down. He says from 7 to 11 rounds and stopped him. Yeah, he broke him down. He broke Kell Brook down. And Kell Brook, and this is the funny thing for everybody that want to make excuses, for Kell Brook. If you go back and look at the post-fight interview, Kell Brook says he was getting stronger as the rounds went on. He says, my eye was hurt. He says, but the thing is, he says, Errol Spence was getting stronger as the rounds went on. So he wasn't getting any weaker. He says basically the reason why he took that knee and tapped out is because each round that went on, he felt Errol Spence getting stronger within the rounds. He wasn't fading. So if he was in there, so basically Kell Brook was telling you, if I was in there with somebody that I felt was, getting tired and that was fading as the rounds went on, I probably would have continued. I wouldn't have took a knee and bowed out. He said, but this man was getting stronger every round. He said, so no, I was cool. He was continuing to get stronger. So I didn't want to risk basically getting my career ended. Let me see what else. Let me see what else. Let me see. Let me get down. Like I said, I'm trying to get through all your comments. Blue Blood, you already know how we cook, Blue. Brian, Jupiter B says, I give Errol a lot of credit. He been going through gauntlets. Straight up. Brian Burns says that Spence broke the other eye socket. He says, which implies that Golovkin only landed on one side of the Brooks face. Make it make sense. So basically, you saying that so Brian Burns is saying Spence broke the other eye socket. He says, which is implying that Golovkin only landed on one side of Brooks' face. Make it make sense. So it make a lot of sense because Kell Brook told you which eye socket that Golovkin broke. The doctor told you which eye socket that Golovkin broke. So if that don't make sense to you, what does make sense? I mean, what if that don't make sense to you, what does make sense? That's like me getting hit in one side of the face and this eye swelling up, and then you telling me, well, ain't the other eye supposed to swell up? No, clown, that's not how the shit works. So what are you talking about? Can you make what you just said make sense? Like, just like if somebody hit me on this side of the head and this side of my head is knotted up, and then I'm wondering why this side ain't knotted up. Because I got hit on this side and not that side. I mean, simple as that. What the fuck you talking about? Make it make sense. KP from KC says Bob always has 4 options with his guys, and he always throws a pay-per-view in there. Yeah, but shit. Yeah, you right. I mean, but we gonna see. We gonna see if he get any of them 4 options. He get any of them 4 options, I ain't mad. You know. Jupiter B says commentary on Brook versus Spence was biased. He says because it was in the UK, but the early rounds were closer, and Spence had pulled out at least 2 or 3 rounds. A 2 or 3 round lead before the KO. Yeah, like I said, I mean, y'all heard my scorecard. So, I mean, like I said, at best, you could have had it a draw, you know, by the 6th round, after the 6th round, at best. So it ain't no way that you talking, dude, Brian Burns is up in here talking about that Spence was behind on the score, or he had Kell Brook leading on the scorecards until the stoppage in the 11th. What fight was you watching? Jay Cooley says he better get that pack fight before or Danny. If not, he definitely not getting the 50-50, 70-30, or he got to retire. Yeah, he do got to get a big fight before he go in there with Spence. I think we all agreed that he got to get a big fight. Ralph Estrada says, don't be surprised if Mikey Garcia get the Pacquiao fight. He says, Robert Garcia said they are just as much in negotiation than as Bud is. Well, when I heard Mikey Garcia talk about it, he basically says they were, but he says that's kind of off the table. And he kind of sounded like he wasn't going to fight until next year. So we don't know, man. We don't know what these dudes is going to do. Khalifa's Boxing says Virgil Ortiz Jr. beat all 147 pounders in 2 years. He says, just wait and see. He says, so he thinks that Virgil Ortiz will beat all 147 pounders in 2 years. Hey, that's your opinion. I ain't got no problem with your opinion. I don't agree with that, but I don't have no problem with your opinion. D. Hodges says, I want him to fight Ugas since Ugas beat him in the amateurs. That's a solid fight. It's a solid fight. Free Smoke says, I agree with that sentiment. Jupiter B says, agree. He says, Brook only has 2 losses. He's still a threat to anyone at 147. And I strongly feel that way. Until I see him really get whooped, you know what I'm saying? I think he's still a strong threat at 147. I can't count a dude out into, you know, somebody coming there and whoop him. Brian Burns says, I think Brook is over the hill at this point in time. He says, I would rather see Bud fight Ugas or Porter. Hell, I'm good with Bud whooping Danny Garcia. Well, we know Bud ain't going to fight Danny Garcia because that's, you know, he going to get that smoke with EJ. But I don't have a problem with none of those fights for Bud. Excuse me. I don't have a problem with none of those fights. D. Hodges says, they both are top ranked. Cassandra says, they crossed my mind. He says, this crossed my mind. I'm sorry. The Queen Cassandra Mason says, this crossed my mind. She says, how did AB get a fight with Manny before EJ and Bud? She says, but anyways, y'all know he beat that boy. I beat that boy, and everybody out there know I beat that boy. Daddy, hey, daddy, brush my hair, daddy. Why AB be looking like that? Now he be having his he be having me weak when he get in the ring. Yeah, that's some real shit. How did Adrian Brunner get a fight with Manny Pacquiao before EJ and Bud? And that's simple. That's simple to answer. It's because Manny Pacquiao was basically taking smoke that he knew he could beat AB. He looked at AB and, you know, Al Heyman, and they knew that AB bring a lot of money to the table, and they knew there was an opponent that Manny Pacquiao was going to be able to look good against, right? To build Manny Pacquiao up, coming to PBC, right? You want him to look good in his PBC debut, but you want him to be in the ring with somebody that has a big name, but somebody that has a big name that they feel strongly that he could beat. And what better name than Adrian Broner? You know? Styles make fights, and that's a perfect style for Manny Pacquiao. D. Hodges says Fury and Bud. Jupiter B says Brooke wasn't complaining about his eye before the fight. Exactly. He looked good. He says EJ broke him down. Silver. You got too many. You got too many names in that. But 2011 says Porter versus Spence was close. If it wasn't for the knockdown, I read that already. He says I don't know. Nah, it was close. Like I said, it was close. The first 6 rounds, it was close. After that, it wasn't close. EJ started breaking him down. Jay Cooley says D. Hodges, he not fighting Ugas. He don't want no smoke with Ugas. He didn't really sound like he wanted to fight Ugas neither. He kind of brushed Ugas off real quick when the Ugas name came out. Jupiter B says I always urge people to rematch. To rewatch the fight with no commentary. You'd be surprised how you view the changes. Yeah, straight up. That's what I always do, especially if it's a fight where you got so many people saying one thing, then you got everybody else saying one thing. Like if it's a fight that's split down the middle like that, you have to really go back and watch it and really focus on it and score every round and watch it with no commentary. That's what you got to do. You can't watch your fight one time and then just go off of what you saw that one time. Jupiter B says, seriously though, AB did beat Pacquiao. Seriously, he did. He says, we just went over that fight on Blue Blood Sports TV channel last week. Hey, I seen y'all, man, but AB did not beat Pacquiao, man. AB didn't beat Pacquiao. I rewatched the fight. I did rewatch that fight more recently for the first time because I never had rewatched that fight because it's crazy. I'm gonna keep it 100. The first time I saw the Pacquiao Adrian Brunner fight, I didn't even want to rewatch it because I was pissed off. I'm like, AB lost every round. I like, he didn't even try to fight. And then I went and rewatched the fight, and he did a little better than I thought he did when I rewatched the fight. It was a couple rounds he won, but he didn't win no more than 2 or 3 rounds in that fight. And that's pushing it. But, he did have Pacquiao missing a lot. But after the 7th round, when AB got hurt by Pacquiao on the ropes, AB, he wasn't even trying to win no more. He went into survival mode. That's what I saw. 2011 says Brooke was a tough test for Errol. He says, in my opinion, yeah, he was. He was supposed to be a tough test. Like, this is what y'all got to understand. Kell Brook was the most feared welterweight in boxing at that point in time, besides Errol Spence. It was Errol Spence and Kell Brook. There was the 2 fighters that nobody wanted to fight. Sean Porter didn't even want the rematch. Sean Porter didn't even want no smoke, right? He had already beat Sean Porter, right? Clearly beat Sean Porter. None of the other champions wanted to fight Kell Brook. That's why Errol Spence took that route, because none of the other champions would give him would wanted to fight EJ, and none of the other champions wanted to fight Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? Y'all acting like y'all forgot. Kell Brook was that guy. He was that dude. You know what I'm saying? Kell Brook was that guy. He was the next boogeyman next to Errol Spence at that point in time. So, of course, he gave Errol Spence. When you have 2 elite fighters in the ring with each other, it's going to be a tough fight. Name me one fight that anybody on here, name me one fight when you had 2 highly level elite fighters in the ring with each other and the other fighter just blew through him and it like it was nothing. Unless it was a quick, unless it was a quick KO, right? Name me a fight that the other elite fighter just blew through him, with no problem. Of course, it's going to be a close fight. All of these fights are going to be close fights. That's what y'all need to understand is when you fight elite level competition, ain't none of these dudes blowing through none of these guys like that. Let me see. John Kramer says, Bud said ain't nobody taking chances like him at the welterweight division. Well, yeah, I don't know. I must have been in a 3 or 4 year coma You know what I'm saying? And just woke up today because the chances he said he taking, I ain't seen them. Where are the chances he taking? I haven't seen them. If you haven't been in a 40, at least a 40-60 fight, you ain't taking no chances. He ain't even been in, like, what fight has he been in where people thought he was taking a big chance? I don't understand that. He ain't been in a fight where people thought he was taking a chance since he fought Gamboa. And that's real. Let me see. Jupiter B says, to be consistent, if you don't give Spence credit for Mikey, we can't give Bud credit for Gamboa. It was he says it's always a catch-22. Exactly. Don't give him credit, because I mean, if we want to break the Gamboa fight, Gamboa had almost a 2-year layoff. Gamboa was moving up in weight, right? And Gamboa was giving up like 5 inches in height. So if we gonna take that route, let's keep the same energy, Bud Crawford. So I mean, how you want to do it here? How you want to do this? John Kramer says, let these fake doctors say that if you broke one side, the other side gets weaker. He says, let these fake doctors say if you break one side, the other side get weaker. Like I said, I don't know. I know what side was broke in both fights, and there was 2 opposite sides. That's all I know. Dayton Henry Jr. says Spence is a southpaw. That's why he got the other side of his face. That's why he smashed the other side of his face, because he is southpaw. Yeah, exactly. And the jab is landing on the opposite side. Let me see. Free Smoke says, Mikey said he'll be okay with fighting Sean Porter. Man, Sean Porter would bulldoze Mikey Garcia. Styles make fights, right? You got certain styles make fights. You've seen Errol Spence outbox and just dominate Mikey Garcia, right? You put Sean Porter in there. Sean Porter is going to bully Mikey Garcia and bulldoze his ass over. You'll never see Mikey Garcia fight Sean Porter. Mikey Garcia, he might have said that, but he know better than that. Terence 2011 says Terence needs to step up. Excuse me. He says Terence needs to step up his competition soon. Unlikely to happen this year. Hopefully next. Elton Costin says Boots. Yeah, Jerron Boots Ennis is the next 147. Is next at 147. And I was just finna say, mention you, Curtis Anderson, and then it's funny that you put your comment right behind Elton's comment. And I was just finna say that Curtis Anderson was saying the same thing about Jerron Boots Ennis. That he the next big thing at 147. And Curtis Anderson follows that up by saying that Jerron Ennis beats Ortiz. That's a fight that I would love to see down the line. It's a fight I would love to see down the line. Todd Swindle says Bronner got a Pac-Man fight because he was no threat to beat him. Yeah, exactly. Just like I said, Todd. That's why he got that fight. Let me see. Jupiter B says, nah, AB didn't get hurt until the 9th round. He says Pac had already lost 7 to 8 rounds by then. It was too late to catch up. So you telling me, Jupiter B, and I fuck with you, my dude, but I gotta strongly disagree with you. I don't know what fight you was watching, but Jupiter B, you telling me that AB had a 7 to 8 round lead on Manny Pacquiao by the 9th round. Bro, what fight was you in? I was rooting for AB. I was rooting for AB, and I was mad that AB didn't put on a good performance in my eyes. But what fight was you watching? How did you have Adrian Bronner up 7 to 8 rounds, by the time the 9th round came? Jupiter B, me and you gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, go live or sit down and watch this fight, because I don't see what you seeing in that fight. Free Smoke says, so Kell Brook was a boogeyman at one point. Cool. He says, I can say I'm scared of chocolate brownies. I could break out. Kell Brook was the boogeyman at 147 at one point. Name me, Free Smoke, name me one opponent back then. If you was watching boxing back then, name me one opponent. If you was keeping up with what was going on at the welterweight division back then, name me one opponent, right, that was calling out Kell Brook back then besides Errol Spence. Kell Brook was calling all of them dudes out. Kell Brook was calling all of them guys out. He was even telling Shawn Porter he could come get that rematch, right? And Shawn Porter was saying that he didn't, well, Kenny Porter and them was basically saying like, oh, no, we dropped out of, basically they felt that the IBF had, fucked them over in the rankings. So they didn't, so basically their excuse that they was using, which it was a valid, if it was a valid excuse or not, the excuse that Shawn Porter and Kenny Porter was using not to go after the rematch is basically that they said that the IBF had dropped them out of their rankings. So they said that they was going to go another route at the time, and that's when they started trying to go the WBC route, if you remember. But nobody was calling out Kell Brook besides Errol Spence. Cassandra Mason says Jupiter B can't be serious. Hey, I don't know what fight he was watching, but that's my man, but I can't agree with you on that one. Blue Blood Sports TV says Adrian Bronner won 2 through 6. He says easy and was definitely at least a draw. Blue, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I don't see that, Blue. Like I said, I just recently rewatched it and I did see AB doing a lot better than I saw him do, when I initially watched it. But I still didn't have him winning the fight, not even close. I had, like I said, I had Manny Pacquiao winning that fight, by a landslide. But yeah, like I said, we all gonna have to, we all gonna have to watch that fight again. We all gonna have to watch that fight. We gonna have to score that fight round by round, and then see what we come up with, because like I want to know how, I want to be able to see, I want to be able to watch it, and then I want y'all to be able to tell me like, okay, this is what happened right here. Okay, this is why I scored this round this way, because I don't see that. Drinko Bay off in the building. He says, sorry, I'm late, bro. Hey, man, we was cooking, man. We've been cooking. But, y'all can watch the rerun. Curtis Anderson says, AB stands for always, always bridesmaid. He says, second place is the first loser. That's straight up. He says, Curtis Anderson says, AB stands for always bridesmaid. Second place is the first loser. That's real. He don't never win none of these big fights. Cassandra Mason says, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Jupiter B says, so for sure he got round 2 through 6 and 8. I don't see that. I don't see that. And it's crazy because Jupiter B and Blue Blood, we all usually agree on, most of these fights. We usually all agree, but I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to disagree on this one. I don't see what y'all seeing. I don't see what y'all seeing on this one. So let me get into another thing that y'all go watch that interview. I'm gonna skip to the next topic, but I had mentioned it earlier, but I never really touched on it. About Terence Crawford, he talked about, he was asked who his favorite fighter was. Basically, who's the fighter that was his favorite fighter to watch, and he said Tyson Fury. And he said that he knew that Tyson Fury was going to win the first fight, and he says that Tyson Fury is going to win the second fight. So basically, I took that as he was rooting for Tyson Fury. He was, he had nothing but good things to say about Tyson Fury. And that's who he going for, Tyson Fury. So, I just wanted to let that be known. I felt some type of way about that shit. Like, I know that y'all stable mates, you both over there on Top Rank, but you got to go for root for your own countrymen. And then you turn around and say that, Deontay Wilder, you and Deontay Wilder cool. So I don't know why you going against the grain. But that's a whole nother subject, and I might do a whole separate video on that. But before, one thing I want to get into, because I didn't really get to cook on it, is David Benavidez and Caleb Plant. To me, that's a super fight to me. I think everybody would agree that they would love to see David Benavidez. He recently did an interview, right? He recently did an interview, and he talked about how much he disliked Caleb Plant. He says he can't wait to beat the shit out of Caleb Plant. He says that he feels that he's going to dominate Caleb Plant. He went on to, he really didn't want to give Caleb Plant no credit for beating Jose Uzcategui. He said that Caleb Plant faded in the later rounds, and he don't like Caleb Plant. He made it clear, that he want to beat the shit out of Caleb Plant, and he made it clear that they have personal issues. So he said that him and Caleb Plant, he said they could keep it in the ring and keep it professional. He said, or they could, get gangster and they can handle it outside the ring if he wanted to do that. But so he also talked about how Caleb Plant and his team were coming out saying that he was ducking the fight from Caleb Plant. He says that, a lot of them are saying that that I'm ducking the fight from Caleb Plant. And he says that's bullshit. He says they ain't never sent me no contract. They have never tried to negotiate no fight with me. He says I'm not ducking shit. He says send the contract and it is what it is. So he says that's the fight that he want. More than anybody is Caleb Plant. So reading the article today, and Caleb Plant, he came back and he says everybody want to know why the Benavidez fight hasn't happened. Why Caleb Plant and Benavidez fight hasn't happened. He says, and the reason the fight hasn't happened is because David Benavidez and his team have been making excuses, saying that they don't want to fight this year. They don't want to fight next. And he says that David Benavidez and his team are the ones that's been ducking the fight. He says they definitely are the ones that's basically putting this fight on hold. He says the fight is easy to be made. He says they should already been in talks and discussions. He said the fight is easy to be made because they both under the PBC banner and they both advised by Al Heyman. He says so Caleb Plant is sticking to his square. He's standing on his square. He's sticking to his guns. He says that David Benavidez and his team are the ones that's ducking the fight, and they are the reason why this fight is not taking place. He says that David Benavidez has come out and told them, told PBC, Al Heyman and them, that he don't want to fight Plant next. So you hear one thing from Plant, that he's stressing hard that they duck it. And then you hearing another thing from David Benavidez saying that's all bullshit, that he wants to fight and that he ain't ducking no smoke. So what y'all think about that? Sherrod Dixon, what's good with it, cuz? What's good with it? Off in the building. So let me get through some of y'all comments and see what y'all talking about that. Let me see. Draco Bay, he says Plant versus Benavidez is a real grudge match. Yeah, they got real beef. He says it's real bad blood. It's gonna be fireworks. That's a super fight right there. That's a fight that we've been looking for waiting for a minute too. John Kramer says I got Plant and Charlo beating Benavidez. Just my honest opinion. Me too. Me too. And he also talked about Jamal Charlo, but he said that he thinks that Jamal Charlo would be a more difficult fight than Caleb Plant would be. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Yeah, send me one of them hats, cuz. For sure. Send me one of them Dixon Sign Company hats. Yeah. And a lot of people, watch me from out there your way too. So, we could promote the business. John Kramer says, I got Plant and Charlo beating Benavidez. Just my honest. I've read that already. Ty Swindle says, Plant versus Benavidez will be a classic boxer versus puncher. He says, gonna be a hell of a fight. He says, I like Plant. I like Plant in that fight. And I'm gonna tell y'all why I've been picking Caleb Plant in that fight. Jupiter B says Benavidez versus Plant is a big fight. He says, I try to be in the house for that one. Oh, definitely. That's one that I would definitely want to go see live. So this is why I've been picking Caleb Plant, right? And I really, really was able to make that, make that pick even more clearly when I saw David Benavidez fight Anthony Durrell. right? We all know that Anthony Durrell, my dude. Shout out to Anthony Durrell. Anthony Durrell, my guy. But we all know that Anthony Durrell is not the same dog Durrell that he was. You know, Anthony Durrell, damn near 37 years old. We all know that Anthony Durrell is not in his prime anymore, right? He's not in his prime no more. But Anthony Durrell was able to give David Benavidez some problems, you know, early on in that fight when he was boxing. David Benavidez don't have no defense. David Benavidez defense is his offense, right? David Benavidez is a workhorse. He throws a lot of punches. You know, I like his angles at times. You know, he throw a lot of combinations, but he don't have no defense. And David Benavidez, he showed that he has trouble if you can move well and you could, you know, box. If with a slick boxer and somebody that can move well at the same time, David Benavidez showed that he was having trouble early on in that in that fight with Durrell. And one thing that I noticed is Durrell was giving David Benavidez problems when Durrell was going downstairs with the jab and the straight right downstairs. He was freezing David Benavidez, right? But Durrell got cut and he changed his whole game plan. He started trying to basically stand there and fight in the pocket, you know, stand there and toe-to-toe and bang with David Benavidez. And you can't fight David Benavidez like that, especially if you're not a slick fighter, you know, like a Caleb Plant, right? Caleb Plant is slick. Caleb Plant got excellent footwork, right? Caleb Plant got a excellent jab. He throw excellent combinations. He give you, you know, he give you different looks. Caleb Plant got good defense, head movement. Caleb Plant can do it all, and he has good power. He have good enough power to keep you on your toes and to let you know, hey, you get hit with one of these motherfuckers, you might go down. Because see, a lot of people don't know. Early on in Caleb Plant's career, he had a lot of hand issues. So he wasn't really sitting down on his shots, you know, turning over his shots like that. He was having to hit, you know, he was having to throw his punches different, you know, he said. He was having to throw his punches different to where he couldn't put all the power on his punches. Now he's fixed them hand issues. He don't have the hand issues like he used to no more. So he's able to sit down on them power shots. Now you see him getting these guys up out of there. You see the power. So I just think that that style matchup all around is bad for Benavidez. And I think that it's going to be a hell of a fight. But I see Caleb Plant pulling that fight out. Let me see what y'all talking about in these comments. Let me see. Let me see. Drico Bay says Charlo, Benavidez, or Charlo are all super fights. Yeah. Free Smoke says, I seen a clip of Benavidez's brother wanted to fight Plant at a boxing gym. He says, Plant can't stand the Benavidez brothers. Yeah, but see, you dig what I'm saying? Plant was kind of in there by himself, right? By himself. With, like, I think Plant was in there maybe with, I think it was just Plant and his trainer. Benavidez was in there deep, right? Benavidez was in there deep, and they was trying to punk Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? They was all, you know, gathered around him, and they was trying to punk Caleb Plant, like, you know, like, hey, it's about 10, 12 of us, and it's only one of you. And they thought Caleb Plant was going to back down. And Caleb Plant was like, no, fuck that. Tell him to chill out. Like, fuck that. You ain't finna punk me. Tell him to chill out before I whoop his ass. So Caleb Plant, you know what I'm saying, he with the business. But yeah, they got bad blood for real. But Benavidez, especially Jose Benavidez, he be running his mouth a lot. You know, we seen in the past where Terence Crawford got into it with Jose Benavidez. And that's the older Benavidez. Free Smoke says, I seen I read that one already. Curtis Anderson says, Plant footwork will give Benavidez problems. That's real talk, Kurt. And Curtis Anderson, when it comes to this boxing shit, don't nobody in here know more about boxing than Kurt Anderson. He'll break a fighter down and a fight down frame by frame. And Kurt Anderson saying the same shit. He said he gonna give Benavidez a lot of problems with his footwork. Same stuff I was saying. Yeah, Free Smoke says Benavidez don't like that jab to the abs. And I noticed that. Free Smoke, I noticed that. Y'all go back and watch the David Benavidez and Darrell fight. Darrell had a hell of a game plan, but he just didn't stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Benavidez, he was freezing Benavidez with that jab to the body. He was giving him problems. Let me see. Cassandra Mason says, I like Benavidez, but Plant is going to give him problems. Straight up. But he was talking like he was going to beat Caleb Plant easily. He was talking like he was going to, give Caleb Plant that work easy. And he said that he'll beat Charlo too, big Charlo, Jamal Charlo, but he said that Charlo would be a tougher fight for him, he thinks. He said the reason why he says that Caleb Plant to him is not a 168 pounder. He says he looks at Caleb Plant as a 168 pounder that basically kind of blowing up to make the weight. He says that he thinks that Caleb Plant is small for the weight division. And he thinks that naturally Jamal Charlo is a lot bigger than Caleb Plant. I never looked at Caleb Plant and thought that he was small for the weight division just because how the way that he hold his own. He hold it down. You know what I'm saying? He been fighting at 168. And he hold it down at 168. So I never looked at Caleb Plant and looked and like, damn, no, I don't think he should be at this weight. He hold it down at 168. So that's what I think. Free Smoke says, like Mikey and Spence, I see something. He says, a way to attack Benavidez. Yeah, Darrell showed you a little bit of it. And hit my like button and hit the like button. And if you're in the building, right? If you're not already a subscriber to the boxing channel on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, Everything Boxing and Sports, and hit the like button. Drico Bay says Benavidez has decent hand speed too. I just watched him earlier. Yeah, he got very good hand speed. Benavidez is solid, but I just think that styles make matchups, and the style that Caleb Plant presents is gonna give Benavidez a lot of problems, and I'm gonna have to go with Plant in that fight. Jupiter B says Darrell did better than I thought he would. He says he was having trouble cutting the ring off against Darrell. He says Plant will be frustrated. He says Plant will be frustrating as hell. Yeah, Plant gonna frustrate the shit out of him. And we gotta, and you know what? And salute to David Benavidez. He said one thing he said in the interview is he said something that none of us never think about, right? He said everybody talk about Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, all these other young fighters, Virgil Ortiz, all these young fighters. He says they talk about all these young fighters, but they don't never put me in that category with these young fighters. He says, y'all forgetting I'm only 22 years old. And we ain't never thought about that shit. David Benavidez is only 22 years old. Kid gonna be a fucking problem. Like, and I thought about that, like, damn, he got a point, because we don't never think, because he's been fighting, I think he said, because he's been professional since he was 17, 18 or whatever. So he's been fighting for so long, but he only 22 years old. Think about that. But right now, Plant, I got Plant. Free Smoke says Caleb stood his ground, and he said exactly like that with the hand gestures. Tell him to chill out. Yeah, he told him. He stood his ground in that gym. He was by himself. They was deep, and told him to chill out. Like, tell him to chill out. No, you chill. You tell him to chill out. Straight up. Plant ain't no punk. Todd Swindle says Plant's footwork will give anyone problems, including Canelo. He says a lot of folks are going to stay away from Plant, and they better. Hey, straight up, Todd Swindle. Straight up. And Canelo better stay away from Plant. He know. Jupiter B says, I think Plant is lean, but I think he is bigger than Maul. I don't know. Nah, I seen them both. I didn't been around both of them dudes. Like, I've been around both of them dudes. And Jamal Charlo is bigger than Plant. Jamal Charlo is big as fuck. Like, when you look at Jamal Charlo, I look at every time I see Jamal Charlo in person, I'll be like, how the fuck did he ever make 154? And how does he make 160 right now? Jamal Charlo could easily be 168, 175. Charlo big. Like if you look at Andre Ward, Charlo a lot bigger than Andre Ward. All the way around. Frame bigger, legs bigger, taller, all of that. Yeah, Charlo bigger. Todd, I don't know how the fuck he make that weight, but Charlo big. Todd Swindle says no one has ever bullied Plant at 168, so he's big enough. Exactly. Ain't nobody never bullied him. He hold his own. Benavidez, Jupiter B says Benavidez has a good hand speed and nice combinations. The problem is his feet. He says also seen him go down against Graville. Yeah, he went down against Ronald Graville, and he don't have the best footwork. He gives certain angles with his combinations, but he don't got good footwork like that. Jupiter B says, true, Benavidez is young as hell. He has time. He says, makes me think his team would want to push the Plant fight out. That's what Plant is saying that they doing. Yeah, Jupiter B, really. Charlo big as fuck. He bigger than all of them guys. Like Charlo bigger than Andre Ward. He bigger than all of them dudes. He bigger than Plant. He big as hell. Curtis Anderson says, once Plant becomes experienced and seasoned, he says Caleb will be a handful. I think I think Caleb now, after the Uzcategui fight, I think Caleb is really, really coming into his prime now. I think Caleb is coming into his prime. We seen him tested against in the Uzcategui fight. And I think that ever since then, Caleb, his confidence has grown. And he's getting better and better. And we got to think, when he took that fight against Jose Uzcategui, he didn't have to take that fight. He took that fight because he knew that was his only chance. If he didn't take that fight at that time, he probably wouldn't have been able to get a fight for a minute. So he took that fight, right? Coming off a bad hand surgery, a hand injury, and he had been out of the ring for over a year. And he took that fight. He didn't take no tune-up. And that's one thing you got to respect it, right? You got to respect it. Caleb Plant, when he took that fight, when he won his title, he didn't take no tune-up. You know what I'm saying? And he went straight into the smoke. And I think now we've seen him get better and better ever since. And he's a gym rat. He a gym rat. Even his wife. You know what I'm saying? That counts for a lot when you have a woman like that behind you. You know what I'm saying? When you ain't out here running these streets, fucking with these chicken heads. His wife is a former athlete. His wife trained with him a lot of the times. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's even better. You know what I'm saying? He a gym rat. So somebody like that is going to cause a lot of noise in the sport. You dig what I'm saying? Especially when you got your wife by your side training with you. You know what I'm saying? That's their time. They spend time together in the gym training. She have him on the track doing a lot of her workouts, so that's major. And we all know that David Benavidez is not the most disciplined. In the past, he hasn't always been the most disciplined. Jupiter B says, I never seen Charlo in person. Never thought he'd be bigger than Ward. He says, goddamn, he looks strong as hell. Yeah, he bigger than Ward. Easily. Bigger. And like I said, Charlo big is like I don't to this day, I still don't know how Jamal Charlo make 160 or ever made 154. You know what I'm saying? But shit, he stay in shape. So that probably helps him. That helps him. Well, not probably. We know that helps him a lot because he stay in shape. He stay in tip-top condition. Chadwick Jackson, what's good with it, fam? Jupiter B says, Plant styled on Uzcategui. He said he also is big as hell. Uzcategui, yeah, he big ass dude. He says only word I have for him is his stamina. He can't get tired against Benavidez and damn sure not Maul. Yeah, so that's one thing that Benavidez was saying is that he said that Caleb Plant fades in the later round, he get tired. But we only seen that happen one time. But that was after a year layoff. Like I always say, if you want to say certain things, let's talk about, you know, the surrounding factors behind that. Okay, let's talk about, does this man have a history of getting tired and fading? And I haven't seen him have a history of getting tired, right? I seen him, you know, in that Uzcategui fight, right? But it was a different circumstance. It was under the circumstance that he had been off for a whole year. You know what I'm saying? And then thrown into a tough, grueling fight like that after being off a whole year. Yeah, you probably gonna get tired, but I don't think he gonna have those issues going down the line. Free Smoke says teamwork makes dream work. David's wife is helping him stay disciplined. You mean so David Benavidez's wife? Well, I was talking about Caleb Plant's wife. Caleb Plant's wife is out there training with him. You know, she's a former college athlete herself. So, you know, I don't know about David. I didn't even know that David Benavidez was married. But like I said, I was talking about Caleb Plant's wife. If I mistakenly said David, that was on accident. But I was talking about Caleb Plant. I might have said David. I don't know. You know, I was cooking. I might have said, but I meant Caleb Plant. I was talking about Caleb Plant's wife. Jupiter B said, let me see, I lost it. Jupiter B says, I forgot about the layoff. Todd Swindle says, a little off the subject. He says, check out the Five Bloods on Netflix, directed by Spike Lee. Excellent movie. Five Bloods. Yeah, I'll go check that out. I'm gonna put that in my notes, Todd. I'll check that out. You said it's called Five Bloods on Netflix. I've been looking for something new to watch, so good looking out. Let me see. Yeah, so I mean, basically that's all I really got to cook on today. We've been on here for over, you know, 2 hours. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, you know, coming and supporting me once again. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again. I don't watch reality TV. I watch boxing. And anything ain't everything, but around here, everything boxing. Like I said, hit the like button. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And come fuck with me. You know I'm gonna be back on here cooking in. Before I get out, Free Smoke says Caleb Plant was showing off his defensive skills on how he is hard to hit in his last fight versus Corey, like Corey Spence used to do. Oh, yeah. He was showing off, you know, and he only getting better and better. So that's a super fight that everybody want to see. Let's hope we see that fight, you know, coming up next year. Caleb Plant and David Benavidez, along with the rest of these fights. Until next time, I'm out.